What's up, Zox fam? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we have a little bit to get into with today's video because a lot of you guys have been trucking along, finally getting those Inferno clears and consistent ones at that. And shout out to you guys for letting me know that, from, messages to comments on the videos. I'm actually really stoked to see that. But I will say that one thing I think that's going to obviously come up is, now what do you do? The transition. And one thing I actually want to hone into is more speed, better speeds, and how you can kind of think outside the box to be able to achieve or obtain that. Because I think that there are a lot of players that come from different games, and some games that maybe don't have PvP, and you have to kind of, in chat's terms, do what you got to do, right? So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. So let's take, for example, you've been farming things like Nico Nana, right? Like, this is the very, very first dungeon that you're going to be farming. Like, if you're getting White Fangs, you might see some Fury Edges, some Swift Raids on that. You got like the Artisans with the Colossal Guard. You have the Ether Plague. You got the Gigabytes with the Ether Plague, as well as the Evo Guard. And then you got like those Alicorns you might be getting with the Swift Smite, right? Now, of course, with this, one of the very first pairings that's going to be accessible to a lot of players is going to be the pairing of, right? And it's going to be this bonus, Swift Raid, right? Because the thing is if we go over to Doki Doki, which is typically one of the first dungeons a lot of people either fixate farming or might finish completing first, the first 3 matrix bonus or 3rd matrix bonus set value you're going to have access to is going to be Swift Raid, right? And then, of course, Evo Guard. Now, the thing is that this is something that can allow you to be able to achieve much higher speeds. And I don't think a lot of people actually look at it that way, but it also requires you to kind of build maybe a little outside of what you might normally think you should be building, depending on like how you've been basically progressing throughout the game. Now, for example, I'm gonna show you guys my Lily. Like right now, my Lily is at plus 176. We are currently at 303, I think, when I add that up, 303 speed. And this is without a speed passive, right? This is with no speed higher than like 13, I think, on subs. I think it goes from anywhere from like 3 speed to 13. And I'll show you guys my gear in a second. But this is also, like I said, on a White Fang. But what makes this so unique, or what makes it work, is the fact that I'm activating not only the Swift Rush, but I'm also activating the Swift Raid. So Swift Rush is giving me that 35% speed, but then I'm also getting an additional 15% speed coming from the Swift Raid, right? Now, the other thing that's really important to note, and why this transition is so important, the base speed that you're getting from your 3rd matrix bonus shells is going to be higher, right? So if we actually go to replace here, let me see if I actually have something to just kind of do a comparison, right? So like, okay, here, for example, right? If you look at any 2 matrix bonus, shell, the max speed on it that you can get is going to be 35, right? Like, you'll just kind of see that across the board. But as soon as they start opening up into that 3rd bonus, they get an additional 5 speed on them, right? And so that's something that ends up being such a huge transition. Then on top of that, if you're able to get like a shadow dash roll, you got a super fast character, right? So like, for example, I could do some tweaking here and try to like roll or, reconfigure this slot. I mean, like, for example, am I going to get speed? I mean, it's in the air. I've rolled this a ton of times, but even without it, right, I'm still able to achieve over 300 speed, right? And that is such an insane thing. Now, the thing is that with that, okay, the main thing that we're looking at, and I'll just show you my modules too real quick. There's a 13 speed, a 12, a 9, a 3, we got a 9, we got another 11. Beforehand, before you were able to like take advantage, or even before people were farming the Swift Raid sets, you had to have like a 14, a 15, a 18, right? Like, there was no way that you could kind of get around having, nothing but higher speeds if you want the character to be faster than like certain bosses, right? Because like some bosses actually require, if you want to out-rotate them, you need to be at that 300 speed mark, right? And so this is a way that I've been able to, like, on a person that typically doesn't really have much luck rolling higher speed values, how I've been able to actually get a character to that point. Now, I will say, with setups like this and with using methods methods like this. We are currently in a place right now where you are technically getting more training data than you are reconfig chips. So the idea of building a, say, like say you do get a lucky drop on a White Fang and it's not necessarily for a damage dealer that you want to put it on. Like say you do want to do something similar on another character like what I did with Lily, it's still okay to do as long as you're understanding what that character is doing, right? Like, so if it's a character that needs effect accuracy, then you might just need to factor in like, okay, what are the values here? But like, as you can see, like this is flat attack, flat HP, but I don't care because the other units that she's, facilitating are going to be doing all the damage. I don't need her to be like trying to worry about doing damage herself for most of the PvE stuff that at least I'm doing right now, right? Eventually we'll tweak this to be more fine-tuned, but you got to work with what you got and do what you got to do, right? So with that being the case, right, the thing about, like I said, this third matrix bonus is that it opens you up, right? So now you can hit certain speed values or do certain things that you may not have been able to do with certain units on your account. A character that could take advantage of something like this, for example, would be like the newly added Nilu. But the thing with her is that you would want effect accuracy on some of these pieces instead, and as much speed as you can get. But she's the closest character for SR that basically is emulating, to some degree, what Lily is doing. So like that is another way to make her faster, right? And so this is something that's going to be a big part of that transition for you, is thinking outside of the box. It's not going to be so straightforward of like, oh, this unit just uses artisan, so I'm just going to always use artisan. You might use a off shell just because it might be providing a stat value that you need for a character. Like for example, one thing that's actually going to be like such a big shift for me, I just got my first supernova, and it's not exactly the supernova that I want, but if we actually go to it, actually I should just like filter this. I wish, I'm trying to remember what the set value is. We'll just go to it. But this is like just going to be kind of that next start because like I said, investment transition on it, it has more speed. And on top of that, it's going to be allowing me to kind of open up my set build. So let me see, did I skip it? Oh, I actually might have skipped it. So hold on. I think she's all the way up here. Christ, how did I roll by you though? But that's Codex. She got to be up here, like right on top. All right, there we go. So right here, I got a Swift Rush, Time Weave, and Evo Guard. And granted, I'm not really like going crazy over the time weave as much, but I'm going to have that healing effectiveness and that effect res increase, which is going to do two things. It's going to make it to where I heal more, and that's going to help me out tremendously in things like, say, my Aurora runs. And then that effect res that's coming from that is also going to make it a lot less likely that I can, or I'm going to be receiving certain debuffs, right? So like it's little things like that this is going to start to open up. And what it's doing is it's lowering the requirements from some of the module sets that you've been having to kind of like super overemphasize. Like, for example, most people have like a over cap of like effect accuracy on a lot of stuff. But when you start getting into those third matrix bonuses, it will actually give you just the right amount and you can focus on another value, right? So like, that's something that like, again, is going to be so huge with this transition. And I think that like little things like that just make a world of a difference when you're able to think outside the box. And it allowed me, for example, to be able to hit certain values that I wasn't able to hit before. And like I said, it's just one of those things with like, as I've been getting pieces, I've been able to kind of adjust and tweak things. So yeah, that's basically like that, guys. I didn't want to make this too drawn out or too deep because it is a little bit of a process, but I think it is important to kind of think outside the box when we're talking about achieving certain speeds or more value on your characters. Yeah, this third matrix bonus does make a big difference. And that's one of the very first ones that you're going to encounter. I feel like that's going to be a big transition for a lot of people's speeds, especially for those that are literally just having to do what they have to do to make a character work. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's going to be that with this one. Let me know if this is something you've actually done. But that's going to be that, guys. Everyone stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.